Welcome to another Out of the Roots, powered by our friends at NoFo Brewing. John Nelson here with you. And what we do, if this is the first time that you've hung out here on the program, this particular program, we tour the planet, let you know what's going on in places you may not necessarily think of when it comes to the beautiful game, and how things can go upside down, how things can be decided, and how you can have moments that matter to teams in countries that we probably wouldn't think, off the top of our head. And so this week's tour, Here are our locations this week. It is a trip to Cameroon to find out what's going on with the national team. And what we mean by the national team is literally more than one team. And it's just, it was an odd situation that we're going to go over with you here. And we'll let you know what's going on. We'll let you know the latest about what's going on in Cameroon. And we'll let you know what's going on in Cameroon. So that's one of the stories that we have this week. We go to Argentina for the Torneo Clausura final with Estudiantes de La Plata and Racing, and we get to catch up with a familiar face. We get to hear what's going on with Santiago Sosa. We find out what's going wrong in Guatemala and Poland. We go to India for a moment that I'm sure the Indian government would like to think about. They're going to have to think about it long and hard after what happened when Lionel Messi visited the country. We go to England and find out what's going on the Barclays WSL side, where you had a 34-match streak go by the wayside on the winning side. And so we get to find out what happened with a matchup there. And we get to go, last stop this week is Armenia, and we find out what a win in Europa Conference League means to a particular club. And this will be our Soccer Over There segment, where we find out more about this team. So without further ado, these are the Roots. We'll start things off this week in India. After Lionel Messi and Inter Miami won MLS Cup, it was an opportunity for Lionel Messi to go to India, where they were constructing a statue for him, and it was a chance for him to visit while he was there. And so it's you have a statue event, and it was marred by fan unrest because they were hoping that during the GOAT tour that in his trip in Kolkata, he would stay for longer than he did. Here's the report from our friends at the BBC.
The Argentinian football star Lionel Messi's tour of India kicked off to a difficult start after the forward's first brief visit to Kolkata Stadium angered fans who'd been queuing for ages to see him. Messi visited the stadium for just 20 minutes, surrounded by a large entourage, before making a swift exit. Disappointed fans, some who'd paid up to £100 for a ticket, threw chairs and objects on the pitch, some even pulling down tents after storming the match ground. Here's what one of those who attended had to say.
So many people had gathered around him, all the politicians. This is my ticket. What have we come here for? They think the people are stupid in Bengal. Take a look at my ticket that cost 12,000 rupees. We didn't even get to see Messi's face.
Well, Ilma Hassan from BBC Hindi was outside the stadium in Kolkata when the chaos broke out. A short time ago, I spoke to her to find out more about what happened.
So the frenzy for Lionel Messi coming started pretty early Saturday morning. There were thousands of people outside the airport. They were disappointed when they couldn't catch a glimpse of him because he had to leave through another exit. They all also went to the hotel he was staying at, trying to get a glimpse of him. But unfortunately, they couldn't see him then as well. That is when they were hoping that if they buy the ticket to the stadium, that's when they'll get to see him. But what happened was that as soon as he entered, he was surrounded by dozens of people, mostly VIPs and politicians, everyone trying to take a picture with him. What the fans were hoping for was they'll get to see him dribble a little bit with the football, let him take a tour of the stadium so he can wave to everybody. But that's not what happened. It was just within 10 minutes that the fans started getting pretty upset and agitated, and it was a security lapse because a lot of the fans also then entered the field. What was a 2-hour event got cut short to just 20 minutes.
Well, given that we saw people throwing objects onto the pitch, what are authorities saying, Ilma?
So the Chief Minister of this state, West Bengal, Mamata Banerjee, has now requested that an inquiry happen into the incident. She has also apologized to Lionel Messi and also all the football fans. It is very close to the people's hearts here in Calcutta. She's also said that she will make sure that nothing like this ever happens again, and she's going to launch an inquiry into the matter. So far, one of the organizers of the event has also been arrested, but the fans are disappointed, and they're asking for either a refund or they're asking that Messi come back to Calcutta so they can catch a glimpse of him.
Ilma Hassan there at that stadium in Calcutta.
Because of fan violence, once again, the appearance was cut short to only 20 minutes. Highlight of the tour's opening day was supposed to be the unveiling of a 70-foot Messi statue, reported to be the largest statue of a footballer ever created. Luis Suarez and Rodrigo de Paul walked out onto the pitch in Kolkata, waved briefly in the stands, as obviously the fans were chanting and hoping that he would be there a lot longer than he was. And the appearance was ended before he could complete a full lap of the stadium, and so that was when the fans decided to throw chairs over the fence lines and try to scale the fencing and try to have their grievances heard. So Mamata Banerjee, the region's chief minister, issued an apology to Messi, ordered a probe in the incident. Quote, "I'm deeply disturbed and shocked by the mismanagement witnessed today at Salt Lake Stadium," and she was on her way to the event when chaos broke out. She posted that on the 280-character app. She obviously apologized to Messi and wanted to constitute an inquiry committee conducting a detailed inquiry into the incident, fix responsibility, and recommend measures to prevent such occurrences from happening in the future. The Indian Football Federation said it was, quote, "deeply concerned," end quote, by the scenes, adding it was not involved in the event's planning, deferring responsibility to the PR agency who organized it. More when we know about that. Then it was one of the most colorful matches that you could have found on the weekend, and it was an opportunity to find out who was going to win in the Torneo Clausura in Argentina between Estudiantes de La Plata and our friends at Racing with Santi Sosa on the roster. And it would go longer than 90 minutes. It would go longer than 120 minutes, and it would go a lot longer than that. You would end up heading to penalties. And here's how the penalties ended up. We'll start with Santi Sosa's approach for Racing and their needing to find an equalizer or to stop Estudiantes because of the early efforts they had. They were a goal up in the shootout. Here's the finish, courtesy of AFA Play.
El último penal de esta serie de 5. Le va a pegar Santiago Sosa.
Y si se queda parado Muslera en especulando con que pueda darle fuerte al medio, Sosa. Hasta aquí fue 2 veces a la derecha y 2 veces a la izquierda el arquero.
Tiene que meter Sosa para ir a la serie de 1. Va Sosa. Sosa. Gol de Racing. Y le tiró a Sosa. Estamos 4-4, serie de 1.
Yo no sé si no se terminó desgarrando, ¿no? En ese remate. Si se quedaba parado se lo tajaba, ¿eh? Porque le pegó al medio y empezaba a moverse.
Va Rodríguez. Se mueve Cambeses. El 6º penal para Estudiantes. Rodríguez. ¡Gol! No se puede creer. La fortuna del lado del pincha. Casi. Lo saca Cambeses. Qué mal le pegó.
No, le pegó mal el zurdo.
Mirá.
Mucho zurdo pateando esta noche. ¿Y sabés por qué termina haciendo gol? Porque no le pega.
Le va a pegar Pardo. Fuerte, ¿eh? Va Pardo. Pardo. Campeón. Estudiantes.
Porque lo perdía en los 90, porque lo igualó en la última con aquel gol de Carrillo, el ingreso de Sosa. 2 hombres de la casa, 2 hombres bien con la escuela pincharrata. Luego lo tuvo que aguantar en el tiempo suplementario. Sabés que la termina tocando Muslera en el rebote. Mirá si va para adentro. Ese puñetazo terminaba haciendo gol.
So Estudiantes beats Racing on penalties to claim the Argentine Clausura title. Our friend Leandro Gonzalez Perez was a part of the action for Estudiantes de La Plata. So it was interesting, and there is actually a photo up from Reuters where there are 2 players for Estudiantes and 2 for Racing that are going up for an in-air joust. And it's Santi Sosa in his Batman mask wearing the captain's armband for Racing going up against LGP as a part of that match. And so at Santiago del Estero it was Fernando Muslerra's heroics, inspiring his side to the 5-4 penalty shootout win over Racing in the Argentine Torneo Clausura, and they sealed a first title for Estudiantes since they won the 2010 Apertura, and we'll see them face this year's Apertura champions Platense in next weekend's Champions Trophy. And Uruguay and Muslera said to Reuters, "This team is incredible. I have no words to describe the emotion and joy I feel now for having contributed to getting here when at one point we weren't close." Tempers kind of got a little heated second half. Racing's Adrian Martinez committed a heavy foul on Santi Nunez, sparking protests from Estudiantes players and calls for a red. He only would get a yellow, and then obviously that didn't go well with the crowd. 57th minute. You had some moments for Cambeses as he collided with Guido Carrillo during a corner and needed medical treatment twice before being declared fit to play. 10 minutes from time, it was miscommunication with Estudiantes' defense, allowing Martinez to pounce on the ball and putting the ball past Muslera to start celebrations. But then with 10 minutes to go, after that, in the 93rd minute, Carrillo directs a header on target following a set piece, and you end up getting the counter to extra time. So Carrillo, who had missed a string of games for Estudiantes because of a 4-match suspension for a dangerous challenge, was back in the game for that. And so then you end up with extra time and penalties. You end up both keepers making excellent saves. Estudiantes sub Facundo Rodriguez was the last to get the ball past Cambeses and give the side a 5-4 lead. Franco Pardo stepped up, and his shot was knocked off the post by Muslera to ensure the win. Estudiantes had a bit of difficulty building up to the final. Their president, Juan Sebastian Verón, and the team's starting lineup being handed suspensions by the Argentine FA. You'll remember last month, after refusing to form a guard of honor for Rosario Central, who were declared league champs. Remember, they came walking out from the business offices of the AFA, won that new title, ending the regular season of the Apertura and Clausura tournaments with a combined 66 points. You'll remember Estudiantes players turning their back on Rosario's players for that last 16 match, protesting the championship being awarded, and it wasn't based on combined points in the competition's original rules. So you end up with the result that you have, going all the way to the shootout before it was decided. And so Estudiantes de La Plata gets the win over Racing Club in the Argentine Torneo Clausura final, and once again they advance to take on Platense for the Champions Trophy next go-round. This is The Roots, powered by NoFo Brewing. John Nelson here with you as we tour the planet, let you know what's going on, some of the stories that you might have missed, some of the places of the planet you might not necessarily pay attention to. We'll bring them to you right here every single week here on the SDH Network. Stop number 3. We go to the Barclays Super League, the Women's Super League, and we let you know what's going on when Everton take on Chelsea. And it ends up doing very, very well for Everton in this match. Here's your highlights with some familiar names being tossed about, once again courtesy of the Barclays Women's Super League, their own selves.
Macario, the low shot, and just pushed against the post by Brosnan. That looked as though it was heading in until the goalkeeper was just able to stick out a hand.
What a fantastic passage of play by Chelsea. They work it from right to left very, very well. Baltimore then picks out a fantastic pass to Macario, who's just sitting on the edge of the D. A lovely little drop of the shoulder, and the strike and the technique off the left side. But what a fantastic save by Brosnan down to her left.
A lovely ball through, now a chase for Payne. Gargo's in the middle. Payne's ball across towards Gargo. Can it be finished at the far post? It can! Honoka Hayashi has put Everton in front very much against the run of play.
And then after the match, you end up with a quick conversation with both Brian Sorensen and Sonia Bonpastor, the managers for both Everton and for Chelsea.
No, I'm feeling good. I'm a bit sore in my throat, but I think with the season we had, we needed a bit of luck also tipping to our side, but I think the defensive performance the girls did, we maybe scored actually too early in terms of dropping in and defending, but well done to everyone. They will deserve it.
If you look at the statistics, again, tonight we created enough situations, opportunities to win the game. So it's really frustrating result. But that's what happens sometimes in football. And the performance was not a bad performance from us. But today we couldn't score and we couldn't win the game.
So at the end of the day, Chelsea suffers their first Women's Super League defeat under Sonia Bonpastor, 34 matches unbeaten, losing to Everton 1-0. The first time Chelsea have lost in league since May of 24, when Liverpool defeated them 4-3 while Emma Hayes was in charge. Also, once again, the first defeat for Bonpastor since joining last summer. Ended her debut season, record points tally, 19 wins, 3 draws. And so now you end up with 30 chances created and generated by Chelsea, 6 on target, 9 blocked, and 3 hitting the posts, 53 crosses. Chelsea denied by Everton's defending, 87 clearances for Everton, bringing that 34-match run to a halt. First time in 31 straight league matches, Chelsea failed to score. Reigning champs who've claimed the last 6, now 6 points behind Manchester City following the loss, 3 draws against Manchester United, Arsenal, and Liverpool. City have not dropped points since the opening day defeat to Chelsea, and this also mounts pressure on Chelsea's Champions League campaign. They're sitting in 6th, outside of the top 4, who earn automatic qualies to the knockouts, but only 1 point separates them from Bayern Munich in 3rd place. Failure to end the phase in the top 4 only enters them into the playoffs in February, a week after they face Manchester City in League, which could decide the title. Chelsea face Roma in Champions League on Wednesday before their final league match of 25 against Brighton, playing Wolfsburg away to round out their Continental League phase before facing Liverpool in the quarterfinal of the League Cup, which they also hold, to complete the calendar year. Speaking of competitions, did you see the bottom of the table in Guatemala and Poland? Really strange to see this, but nevertheless, for those of us that follow along when it comes to CONCACAF and the early rounds and you're trying to figure out, okay, who is this team, who is that team, who are they, and where are they coming from? Right now in the Liga Nacional, our friends at Communicaciones, who we've seen in CONCACAF Champions League a great deal over the last 7 or 8 years, Communicaciones in the Liga Nacional, in the Apertura, or at the absolute bottom. 5-5-12, 22 matches. Only scored 15 goals in the 22 matches, giving up 26. So it was a minus 11 in goal difference. 20 points in the Apertura. Did not make the Apertura playoff. Lost 3 in a row to wrap up the Apertura in and of itself. Municipal finished with 48 points. Deportivo Mixco with 44. Then you had Antigua, Aurora, Malacateco, Selaju, who we also know from CONCACAF Champions League. Deportivo Achuapa and Mictlan make the Apertura playoffs 1 through 8. That was at 24 points. Coban Imperial, Marquense, Guastatoya, and Comunicaciones were 9, 10, 11, and 12. And so we wait for the finals of the playoffs and the Apertura in Guatemala. And then also in Poland. Right now, obviously, you look at how things go in the European competitions, and you see Legia Warsaw. And Legia Warsaw is in the Europa Champions League. They're not having fun this season at all because over the weekend they lose 1-0 to Piast Gliwice, who going to Legia Warsaw was a plus 285 underdog. They go to Legia, get the 1-0 win. Legia Warsaw was a minus 105. And in the standings now, with those 3 matches having been played on Sunday, right now Legia Warsaw is next to last. They're in the relegation zone. They are a point away from safety. They've got some work to do. And the loss to Piast Gliwice did them no favors. So Legia Warsaw, of 18 teams, is 17th. And that includes Lechia Gdansk's 5-point federation decision of having points docked. Otherwise, they would be at 25, and they would be in 9th as opposed to where they are in 13th. Right now, fairly tight, not necessarily a surprise because you only have 11 points top to bottom. But right now, Wisła Płock, who has drawn the last 5 in a row, which is just strange, Górnik Zabrze are both at 30 points. Górnik has lost 3 of 4, by the way, to get to 30 points. Jagiellonia Bialystok and Rakov Shostakova are both at 29 points. Jagiellonia Bialystok and Lech Poznan close out match week 18. Zagłębie is at 28 points. They're in 5th. Cracovia is at 27. Radomiak Radom is at 26. Lech Poznan, once again, match in hand, 26 points. They've drawn their last 2 and 3 of 5. Korona Kielce is at 24 points. Pogoń Szczecin is 10th at 21, ahead of Motor Lublin and Arka Gdynia on goal difference. Then Lechia Gdansk at 13, Piast Gliwice at 14. 15th is Wiedź Łódź, and they are ahead of Katowice, and Lechia is at 19 points. They're ahead of Termalika by goal difference, by 9. So right now, Legia Warsaw, they're hurting in the domestic league, and they're smarting from what happened in Europa Conference League this past week, where they played Noah of Armenia. Here's the highlights. Started out well, didn't finish that way, courtesy of FC Noah their own selves.
Noah and Legia are 2 points apart either side of the elimination line before their meeting in Yerevan. Gonzalo Silva returns to captain the Armenian champions. Mileta Rajkovic starts in attack for the second time in this phase. Gonzalo Silva, the back pass is short. Rajkovic, it's a real gift. Mileta Rajkovic for Legia, and the captain of Noah sold his goalkeeper short. And the cross travels a long way here. Ayas, just wide. Matthias Ayas on the turn, but not testing Tobias. Bokai's cross, and the volley towards goal is controlled initially. Yakulis forcing a fine save. Iwa has won it back. Mula Hasanovic. It's a good run from him. And it's an equaliser. Ayas. Matthias Ayas. But it owed so much to Nardin Mula Hasanovic. Very different game now. And the ball is loose and it's in. Mula Hasanovic again. Made the first and has scored the second. The back header from Reka. And Mula Hasanovic was sharp. And what a key victory this could be for Noah. 2-1.
So FC Noah gets the win over Legia Warsaw 2-1. So what does that mean? Heading into the next section of league phase, which is the midweek this week, Noah travels to Dynamo Kyiv, and they play at Motor Lublin Arena in Poland. So FC Noah comes into this, and they come into this one once again at an underdog spot at a plus 225. Dynamo Kyiv at Motor Lublin Arena is a plus 112. Then you have Legia Warsaw at home, big favorite to Lincoln Red Imps, a minus 435. Lincoln Red Imps are a plus 922. If you feel so inclined, you can watch or listen to the match, however you consume your Europa Conference League activity, at 3 o'clock Eastern Time on Thursday afternoon. So Dynamo Kyiv hosting Noah, Legia Warsaw hosting Lincoln Red Imps. But what does this mean when you have a team like Noah get a big win like this in league phase? Right now, everything, because right now that win for Noah after match week 5 puts them at 8 points. They are smack dab in the middle of the 8-point group. They are 18th, and remember, the top 24 advance into the knockout stage. The first 8 get a bye, and they watch 9 through 24 beat each other up one more time before you go into involving the top 8 into the tournament. Legia Warsaw right now is 30th in Europa Conference League at 3 points. They've lost 3 in a row and 4 of 5. They've only won once in their first 5. They've only scored 4 goals in their first 5 matches, given up 7. 1-0-4. Goal difference of -3. They are 30th of the 36 teams right now in Europa Conference League in the league phase, compared to Noah, who is at 5 points and 17th currently. So we tried to do a little digging, and we were trying to find out more about FC Noah. And they are Armenian, and it was a defunct Latin club that was commonly known as Noah. And so founded in 2017 – oh, sorry, wrong headline. Club founded as FC Artsakh in 2017. Played their first match on June the 2nd, 2017. Played their first competitive season 2017-18 in the Armenian First League, finishing second and achieving promotion to the Armenian Premier League. Finished 8th in 2018-19. They were sold and rebranded as FC Noah. Name references the biblical Noah, whose ark came to the rest on the mountains of Ararat, traditionally identified with that mountain. And so you have Noah winning the 1920 Armenian Cup, defeating Ararat Armenia on penalties. 2024, once again, they qualified for Conference League phase after defeating Ruzomberok 4-3 in aggregate in the playoff round, becoming the first club in Conference League history to navigate all 4 rounds of qualification. They'd beaten Shkenja, Shliema Wanderers, and AEK Athens in the previous qualifying rounds. At the end of 24-25, they completed their first ever league and cup double. And so now they're in the first Armenian club to qualify for the main stage of a European club competition for the second year in a row. So that's Noah out of Armenia, FC Noah. So keep an eye on them. Futbolayin Akum Noah, Armenian professional football club based in Abovyan. Founded in 2017, and they got a big win this past week. And for them, when they beat Legia Warsaw, who is hurting right now in the Ekstraklasa, the Polish First Division, it's good and interesting to bring in Armenia to the discussion. So that's your soccer over there for the week. FC Noah out of Armenia. Also on the board before we go, want to talk about what's going on in Cameroon, and it's just odd. What's going on in Cameroon, it is just incredibly strange. And so when you have one team that qualifies, you have a nation, obviously, that qualifies for AFCON. And so right now, you have Cameroon in an absolute upside-down mess. Here's why. Headline, goal.com. Marc Briz refuses to accept Cameroon's sacking as he names a new squad, including Andre Onana, and blasts the, quote, narcissistic, end quote, FA President Samuel Eto'o. Marc Briz has refused to acknowledge his sacking as Cameroon manager, instead naming his squad for the upcoming AFCON tournament. The Belgian's been feuding with FICAFoot, the Cameroonian Football Federation, and their president, Samuel Eto'o, was recently dismissed from his post, but is staying resolute as he is yet to receive a proper termination notice. So, Briz remains under contract with the Ministry of Sport until September of next year, yet to receive an official termination notice. As such, he's refusing to accept his dismissal from Eto'o. As they've been feuding over the past year, David Pagou is expected to be named as Briz's official successor, having been cited as Cameroon's manager on FIFA's website. However, Briz has no desire to leave, naming his squad that he intends to take with him to Morocco for the upcoming AFCON tournament. So he speaks to TV5 Monde last week. Briz doubles down on his position, saying he's in charge. Continuing his feud with Eto'o, saying, quote, as long as there is no signed note from the presidency of the Republic appointing David Pagou as the coach of the Indomitable Lions in the eyes of the state of Cameroon, Mr. Marc Briz remains. This is not up for discussion, and it has been this way in Cameroon for at least 30 years. He added to Afrique Foot, quote, how can we go and compete in such a tournament without a world-class goalkeeper or without Aboubakar, meaning Vincent Aboubakar? Because these are players who have character, who stand up to the president. It's incredible, but it doesn't surprise me coming from someone who is narcissistic, who thinks he is the most handsome, end quote. And so this means now that with Briz, he is looking to name Andre Onana as his keeper. So now Onana is on loan to Trabzonspor in a squad that features Stefan Savic and Paul Onwaku, and he was not in Pagou's final AFCON squad either. However, Briz might be naming him to that squad. Among the players named on Briz's list, Mbeumo, Baliba, and Maxim Choupo-Moting, and Aboubakar, who's only behind Eto'o in the list of Cameroon's greatest goal scorers. So keep an eye on this situation because there might be two men in charge with two separate squads as Cameroon gets ready for the AFCON. So we'll find out if Mark Breeze ends up being officially fired. We'll find out if David Pagou officially is hired. We'll find out if Breeze gets his paperwork, or if you end up with two groups of folks that end up just making their way to Morocco for the AFCON, and they're trying to figure out, okay, who's going where. This is my room, this is my room, this is my room. So we'll see what happens there. So Mark Breeze refers to the FA president as narcissistic, and the FA president apparently told everybody that he was bringing in his own guy that was not named Mark Breeze. So keep an eye on Cameroon as they head to the AFCON, and they'll see if one wins out over the other as we go forward. On that note, that's another go-round of the Roots, powered by our friends at NoFo Brewing. And thanks for dropping by, as you always do, as we take the tour around the planet. Once again, stops this week: Cameroon, Argentina, Guatemala, Poland, India, England, and Armenia, as we continue to let you know what's going on with the beautiful game each and every week here on the SDH Network. For everybody here at SDH, I'm just John. Thanks for dropping by and taking hold of the Roots here in the beautiful game. Mucha platiel, play it safe. We'll catch up with you next week. Don't forget, Monday and Tuesday, Jason in charge of SDH AM, 9:05 a.m. Eastern Time here on the SDH Network. Play it safe, everybody. Enjoy your games.